You can you can grow up as an amazing dancer. Try not to get to the hands of a dinosaur teacher. There is no one perfect teacher that is perfect for everybody. And they're all damn bulls. They rock it so much. They dance amazingly, all of them. It will be weird if we go driving lesson and the teacher would just show us how to drive, right? Start the class and he said, shoes off. This is, a huge continuum from the beginner teacher till the very, very cool expert, super advanced mentor. So this is all our job. This is the teacher's job. Hello, my dear guys. My name is Svetlana Rey. I'm a salsa mentor, dancer, and a psychologist. I've been dancing since I was 3 years old and teaching salsa for more than 14 years for now. And also I teach dance teachers of all the styles. And I decided to create this podcast for you to make your dance journey more joyful, to help you avoid mistakes that most of the dancers do when they learn, and also to convert you as fast as possible to a very amazing desired dancer that people love to see at every party and that has to hide sometimes because there are so many invitations, so you simply cannot handle it. And for this podcast, I've chosen a topic about how to find your teacher. Because in my opinion, when you learn something, the teacher, the guy that shows you the way is the most important thing, because he can either motivate you and make you improve so fast, and at the same time he can ruin your self-esteem in 2 classes and you're gonna quit. I know many people that quit salsa thinking that they're not good enough, but it was mostly because of the teachers. So that's why today I'm gonna tell you about 3 types of teachers that I consider. And also, I'm going to share with you 10 tips that will help you to understand whether you have a good teacher or not. All this story started when I came first to the... It was not my first salsa lesson, but it was kind of a salsa lesson that was given by a Cuban teacher. And I realized that this guy was just showing. He was super energetic, super on fire. And he showed amazing moves, but he didn't explain a thing. And I realized, looking around, that people, at some point, they started to get nervous and anxious, and they actually couldn't make it just because the teacher didn't explain anything. And this is how I started to actually think about all these topics. And this is why I went to the psychological faculty to actually discover all those things and find out some tips that can help people to learn faster, in general, learn dancing faster. So, 3 types of teachers. The first type, I call them dinosaur teachers. Dinosaur teachers are the ones who tend to teach the way how they've been taught. You know how, I imagine it, how the dancing appeared from the very beginning. Somebody was doing the moves and then people would come to him and say, hey, you're moving amazingly. Show me, please, how do you do this? Yeah. And the person would just start showing and people would just start copying. So the dinosaur teachers, they actually think that this is the way how it should be. This is the way how you should teach dancing. And in my opinion, it's very dangerous to come to come to these kind of classes, because dinosaur teachers, they don't have any methodology most of the times. And also they don't realize the movements, because they copy the movements by themselves and they expect you to copy their movements. So they don't realize it. They don't give you clear instructions, and they also don't give you the clear feedback, because simply they don't understand what you do wrongly. So if you hear those kind of comments my favorite is, if you want to be musical, you need to listen to more music. Or you just train more, train harder, or repeat it a few times. That means that the teacher actually doesn't really understand what you do wrongly. He just needs to tell you something. And unfortunately, these kind of dinosaur teachers are very, very often to meet, especially if you go to the school close by, this is how people do. When they start dancing, they're like, okay, I need to choose a school, and they choose the school that is very close to their house. And very often you will be very lucky if you meet an amazing teacher there. But most of the times, unfortunately, you meet these dinosaur teachers, and you have to be aware, because in my opinion, they're not real teachers and they ruin self-esteem. So please be careful. Later on, I will tell you how to make sure that you're bringing yourself to the right hands. The second type of the teacher, I call them stars. These are originally very good and talented dancers that copy movements very well, and that think that if you want to become a great dancer, you just need to bleed and sweat and work hard. Normally at these kind of classes, they don't explain much, but they give you a lot of information. Sometimes it happens that these kind of dancers, they can explain, they can realize the figures and the moves. Sometimes they don't. But the crucial point is that they make you work hard, they make you motivate, they play very fast music, and they give a lot of, just simply tons of information. And you can you can grow up as an amazing dancer in these hands if you're good at copying the moves. So now it's important for you to understand. So there is no one perfect teacher that is perfect for everybody. The thing is that you need to find a match. So if you're good at copying the moves, for example, me, I have a dancing background, and I have a gift of copying the moves. I can do it fast. I don't need much explanations. That's why those kind of teachers, they're very good for me, because they give me a lot of information, and I can just simply catch it and improve faster. Yeah, and at the classes where teachers explain a lot, I feel bored because I understand. I don't need the explanation, right? The first time I found out that these teachers exist when I started a few years ago to watch YouTube videos from different dance schools. And I saw, these kind of videos when there is one teacher dancing in the center and 5 people around him, and they're all damn bulls. They rock it so much. They dance amazingly, all of them. And I've always thought, my goodness, what does he do with them so that they look like him? It's really difficult to distinguish where's the teacher and where is the student. And I always thought, my goodness, my students, they don't look like it at all. It's too far. And I got really frustrated, but then when I started to teach teachers, I actually realized that this is just different type of work, These kind of teachers, they gather specific kind of students around them. Those one who can copy the moves very well and who is ready to rock, who is ready to work hard. And of course, they get amazing results. But you have to realize that if you're not good at copying the moves, then you're going to be in trouble, or you're going to be depressed, or you just need to hang on and learn fast to copy at the class. The third type of teachers, I call them nerds in a good way. Surprisingly, sometimes it can happen that people who come to the classes and they cannot even step on one, they, after years, become those kind of amazing teachers that I call nerds. I have a story about one teacher from Rostov-on-Don. It's a small city in Russia. I was talking to... there is a guy, and I was talking to his teachers. And they told me when he came to the class, he couldn't do anything. He was totally discoordinated. He couldn't be on beat. He couldn't keep up with the beat. He couldn't memorize anything. He was like a disaster. And they say that we sincerely thought that dancing is not his thing. But then he was super hardworking and purposeful, and he was training a lot. And then they said that, they noticed one day that it started to work. So what happens is that these people, they need to digest all the information, analyze it, structure it, in order to give the right commands to their muscles. That's why the learning process comes slower, sometimes way slower. But what is good about it is that after learning all these things so hard, these people are ready to explain things well, because they simply realize everything. They can explain things very well, they can see the mistakes very well, they can write methodologies very well, because they structure all the information in the head. I think that these kind of teachers, they fit to the majority, because this is why we look for a teacher, right, when we learn. It will be weird if we go to a driving lesson and the teacher would just show us how to drive, right? So we need some logical explanation. And these teachers, they can give it to you, okay? So try not to get to the hands of a dinosaur teacher. If you're not good at copying the moves, you need to look for a teacher that can explain you very well the things. And if you're good at copying, then you would be bored of this kind of classes and you need to go to the star. To find a star, it's very easy. You just need to look for like the best champion of the champions, I don't know, winner of all the competitions, or like the biggest school in the city, something like that. So this is exactly what you need. And now I'm gonna tell you about some signs that can show you whether a teacher is good or not. The first, for some teachers it will be very evident, but this is the sign about the names, whether your teacher knows the names of the students or not. So if you join the group, if it is the new, totally new course, try to pay attention whether the teacher is asking for the names or not. Because finding out the name of your student is the first step to establishing the tandem. Tandem means like a partnership, very good partnership between the teacher and the student that helps both. It brings the teacher the fulfillment and the student great results. And if the teacher doesn't ask or doesn't know the names of his students, then that can give you the information that the teacher is not very interested in the results. After a while, it can demotivate you because it is very difficult to train when you know that nobody cares about your results. Try to pay attention whether the teacher is at least asking for the names, or if you came to the group and you know that teacher knows all the names, you can see that he names, for example, people when he corrects them. This is a great sign. Point number 2, methodology. You know what did happen when I gave the teachers trainings in Russia? I did one exercise. So I gathered all the teachers, there were like 25 people, and I asked them to divide a paper into 2 columns and to write in the left column the reasons why do you need a methodology. And in the next column is like I asked them to write the excuses that most of the teachers have for not doing it. And it was very funny because the second column was way longer, and this is how you can see why most of the teachers, they don't do this, because they say, oh, you know, like groups are always changing, or like I am adjusting to the level, or there are always new people coming, or blah blah, like whatever. And these are all excuses. If you really have a good professional teacher, then he will always have methodology written. Not, it's like, oh, I have it in my mind, but it will be written with all the levels, with all the figures, and in the best case, there will be some exams. It is not very common now, especially among Salsa, but I know some teachers that give like small exams to their students, because exams can show you what actually you have achieved, and this is amazing. And most of the teachers, they just avoid it because they think, oh, dancing is not actually a very serious thing, you know, and they just don't write methodology. But if you want to put yourself in good hands, try to look for the teacher that is having the methodology. It is very important, and it can show his professionalism. Point number 3, social media. It's very easy check. Go to his page or her page and check what's going on there. If your teacher is sharing a lot of just videos when he or she dances, then it's very probable that it's either a dinosaur or a star. Or if your teacher is sharing a lot of information about like how to learn, or like some thoughts, you know, like philosophical, maybe, I don't know, discussions, then your teacher must be a nerd. It's a very simple test, but it will help you a lot. And it's very easy to do. Just go to social media and check what's going on. And if the page is abandoned, then probably this person doesn't really care about teaching people, so don't go there. Point number 4. You dance at the class more than you listen. And this is connected to on-point explanations. Very good teachers, when they realize the movement, they can explain the movement very fast. The most simple test that I do at every teacher's training, I ask them to explain a figure in 20 seconds. And I can see immediately, and they can see immediately, when they fail, because most of the teachers, they used to show, but not to explain. And if you don't realize the movement, you cannot explain. And if you realize the movement, then you can give very clear on-point explanations. So if your teacher takes too much time to explain, you know, like maybe 1 or 2 minutes to explain a small thing, and you feel that the energy of the class is going low, when people start like settling on the hips, you know, like yawning and doing stuff like this, that means that your teacher doesn't actually realize the movement and he tries to cover it with a lot of explanations. The truth is that if you're really good, then you can give very short explanations and spend most of the time of the lesson to dance. Okay, so try to pay attention to this moment, whether you stand at the class or whether you dance at the class. We were measuring, for example, a lesson of one girl in St. Petersburg. That was exactly like this. She was talkative. She really truly believed that she had to explain all the things. We really counted the minutes, and it was 60% of the time of the class she was talking and people were standing. And then when she realized, she was like, oh my God, that's really not good. Also, if your teacher says, oh, we didn't have enough time, to dance it with the music or stuff like this, that also shows that he's not very good at on-point explanation. Therefore, he's not very good at realizing the moves. On-point corrections. This is also very much connected with the previous one, because if you can realize the move, then you can see the mistake of this move when people do it. And that was actually the topic of my diploma at the university. I was making an investigation in spinning. So I made some videos when I did spin, and I did some mistakes. And I make a group of people that were checking these videos before the spinning course and after. And I asked them to correct the mistakes and to give some advice, like what I need to change there. And what happened is that before going to the course, the corrections were very funny. They would say, oh, you lose axis, or oh, you lose balance, or you lift the shoulders, I don't know, or you fall. That was the funniest one. That showed me that they actually didn't realize it, because they just see something, and they try to explain it. But after the course, the corrections were more on point, because they were saying, okay, you're losing the axis because your core is not in tonus and your lower back gets relaxed, for example. This is what breaks you the axis. So try to make a contraction and it will help you. Or you lose the axis, or you fall because you lift your heel and it makes you fall forward. So try to make the sliding flat and it will help you. Or you fall because you lose the spotting. So the first part of your spotting works well, and then your head freezes in the center. See how the explanations get more details, right? And the corrections. So please try to make sure that you do like the movement of your head from left shoulder to the right shoulder, 180 degrees. This is what can tell you whether your teacher is good, okay? So if he gives you on-point corrections, then you'll have a good teacher. If your teacher doesn't correct you or just tells you work more, listen to more music or work harder, then you should think about it. Next point. Try to pay attention on the structure of your class, of the class that you're taking, and the dynamic. Because what happens, for example, at the Dinosaur's teacher class is that the structure is repetitive. It begins with maybe hello, and then he comes to the center, plays some music, and does the warm-up, like head to the left, head to the right. And then you do some repetition, so warm-up, repetition, then new material, then we dance a little, bye-bye, class is over. That is a very good sign that probably your teacher is either already very, very tired of teaching, or he's a dinosaur, because teachers like nerds or teachers that always seek for new ways to teach, they always change the structure. For example, the brightest memory that I had is when my teacher, my ballroom dance teacher, he made us put our shoes off. So we start the class and he said, shoes off. And I remember like this tons of shoes lying at the entrance of the dance hall. It was like maybe I was 8 years old, but I still remember it because it was so mind-blowing. Like, why would we do this? And he said, you have to feel the floor better, okay? So when you have a really good teacher, then the structure of the class, as well as the dynamic of the class, will always be changing. Like, he would start immediately with dancing, or he would say, okay, please find a couple and do some exercise here. In a very good class, you always change the locations. Like you go with a circle and then you split into couples, and then you do the battle, like crowd against the crowd, for the final video or stuff like this. So if the dynamic always changes, that is a good sign. That means that your teacher is really looking for the new ways to teach you better and to give you the better experience. The next point, try to pay attention whether you do specific exercises that can help you understand the techniques better, or you just do dull repetition. My favorite exercise is always connected with doing some silly stuff. For example, for the exercise, on the isolation. I remember I just gave all my group the glasses, and I asked them to fill it with water. And we did the shoulder movement, like this shimmy back and forth shoulder movement with the basic. And the task was not to put any drop on the floor. Because if you don't isolate the arms, then when your shoulder moves forward, then your hand goes down, right? And the water falls. So that was very, very... the floor was totally wet. But guys got very good understanding of how does it really feel to isolate your body. The more amazing, nice, interesting exercise you have, the better your teacher is. If your teacher just expects you just to repeat, this is not a very good sign, because apparently he cannot explain you what to do and he just expects you to find out yourself, okay? But again, coming back to the beginning, not all the people are capable enough to find out by themselves. The next point. Try to pay attention whether your teacher dances with the group all the time or he lets you dance. Because in my opinion, this is, like a huge continuum from the beginner teacher till the very, very cool expert, like super advanced mentor. My teacher, which I adore a lot, of ballroom dancing, he was most of the like 90% of the class, he was standing in the corner or sitting and throwing the... Remember, back then there were like the CD discs with the plastic cover, and he was just throwing the plastic covers to us when we did the mistakes, because this is, that's his job. He was correcting us, he was paying attention on what we do, and he was motivating us. What happens with the beginner teachers is that they cannot explain well the information because they don't realize it well. And then they think that if they dance, then they help you. What happens as well is that some of them think that if they dance with more energy, then you're gonna learn faster. But actually, it's the opposite, because they distract you. So what happens is that they don't give proper explanation, and they see that the group doesn't really get it, and they think that if they dance with the group, then the group makes it better. In a way, they are right. So that's why most of the time of the lesson, they have to dance together with the group. And what happens with the students is that they look at the teacher, they think that they doing the same that the teacher, but in reality they don't. And because they don't have a chance to look at themselves in the mirror, to work out the feelings in their body, they don't learn fast, right? They don't learn actually well enough. If your teacher is dancing with you, that means that probably you didn't get a good explanation, and teacher is feeling that something is wrong and wants to help you. The better teacher becomes, the more time he just gives the group to dance. So he just gives good explanation, on-point explanation, then a little bit of demonstration, like dancing with the song a couple of times with you, so that you get the feeling, and then he stops, he turns, and he starts to observe you. He starts to count, he starts to give feedbacks, he starts to observe the mistakes and comment it, and this is actually our job as teachers, right? Our job is not to dance with the group, our job is to teach people how to become better. So that's the point. And try to observe. Just think and just check whether your teacher is dancing all the time with you or he lets you dance. Last 2 points, I will explain them together. So good teachers are eager normally to share the knowledge. So if you come to the teacher after the class and you ask a question, some of the teachers, they can talk for hours explaining you things. And that shows that there is a true teacher. Even if this teacher may be not on a good level yet, like doesn't understand the moves or doesn't know how to work with the group dynamic, but at least he's trying to, he's willing to share the knowledge very, very much. Sometimes there are teachers that, the class is over and they're like, bye-bye, I go home, adios. That's it. And if you ask questions, then he says, oh, you can take a private class with me, and I explain it there. First of all, you already get the feeling that something is wrong. Probably it's either the teacher that is focused on just earning money and not really caring about the students, or very, very bored old teacher that is already tired of teaching, But in both cases, this person won't motivate you much. probably. So try to pay attention on that, whether the teacher is willing to share the knowledge everywhere, or if you write him on social media with a question, he or she will answer much, like with a voice message, with a text, because normally these, like alive teachers, they always want to share. They're always interested. So coming closer to the last point, if you can name a great teacher with one word, that would be investigator. The teacher who is always looking for new ways, for new possibilities, new opportunities to share the information with you, to give you a better experience, to help you to improve faster. With this teacher, you will always stay motivated because he will give you his energy, right? You will be surrounded by this amazing energy of enormous exploration, like being eager to find new information, to explore new things, to learn new things. And even, again, if this teacher is not on a very good level, he will give you a lot of motivation to improve. The main idea is that why this topic is so important is because you know what happened at the teacher's training? I give an exercise when teachers, they have to copy the move from the video and then explain this move without showing. So I divide them into couples, and one person from the couple watching the video, another person doesn't see the video. And then the first person has to explain the movement without showing it. And it's actually very difficult, again, because if you don't realize the movement, it's very difficult to explain it. And also, if you're not used to talk, if you're mostly used to show, then these teachers are really, really being challenged a lot. This exercise is being done excellently only with the really cool teachers. This is how I can filter, for example. If a teacher is copying the movement perfectly and then explaining the movement, and then the student, let's say, kind of student, is dancing exactly how it is on the video, then it is a very good teacher. Normally, these teachers are like local stars in the cities, they earn a lot of money and all this stuff. Most of the teachers, they are not able to do this exercise. And the students, the teachers, the pair that were students, they realized that something is wrong, that the explanation was messy, that they're so shy and intimidated, and they like, oh my God, I don't know, And I always say, like, guys, this is not your fault. If your teacher didn't copy the movement correctly and didn't give you the good explanation, then you had no chance actually to learn well. So this is not your fault. But these guys are still like taking it on them. And this is what happens in most of the cases. And this is what I see. And this is what is so painful for me. So that people, they come to the classes and either they are wrong match with the teacher. So for example, you're the person that needs a good explanation, but you come to a star class, or you come to a dinosaur class, and you see that your results are not good, but most of the times it's not your problem. It's the teacher's problem. So the teacher didn't give you the right information. The teacher didn't give you the right knowledge, didn't give you the right exercises, and didn't maybe give you enough time to dance. So this is all our job. This is the teacher's job. And if teachers do their job wrongly, the problem is not in you, right? But most of the people is what I see. They take it on themselves and they think, oh, I'm not good enough, or maybe salsa is not my thing. But the reality is you just need to find the right match, okay? So try to analyze and realize what type of learner you are, whether you're gifted and you can copy the movements well, or you're like super, we say in Russia, a tree, like you don't understand anything, you cannot control your body, you need good explanations, you need to realize everything. Then you look for the good teacher for you, look for the nerd, for the one that analyzes the movement, who realizes the movement, and who can give you the proper explanations. And with this good match, you will always feel comfortable and always feel motivated to continue your learning and have more and more fun with everybody. Okay, guys, so I hope that this information will make you stay more conscious about what is actually going on in the class, whether it's your fault that you didn't actually learn fast enough, or it's your teacher's fault and your teacher didn't give you the proper conditions to learn. And also, I feel sorry for many teachers because apparently they will be checked now with the students. So guys, hang on. And if this information was valuable for you, please share it on your Instagram in the story. Tag me, Svetlana Ray, and make many people and your friends particularly become more aware of the learning process, learn faster, and have more joy on their salsa way. Bye bye.